She was a thriving young business owner, traveling, working, building a future for herself. And then within days of starting Lexapro, her life began to unravel. What began as mild burnout spiraled into years of insomnia, electric shocks in her body, and a crushing sense that no doctor believed her. When she asked for help, she was told it was just anxiety. Well, in today's video, you'll meet a psychologist from Russia who tried 5 different antidepressants, endured devastating side effects, and was told again and again that it was all in her head. And then one day she found a video that changed everything. This is a story about medical harm, isolation, and what it takes to survive when the very system meant to help you becomes the source of your suffering. Snezhana, thank you for being here to share your story. I understand you took the very commonly prescribed SSRI antidepressant. I believe it's Cipralex in Russia, but in the United States and in much of the world, people would know it as Lexapro or escitalopram. And this seems to have completely changed your life in a very negative way. And because this is such a widely used medication, I think it's very important that you come and share your story. So what happened to you with this medication?
Oof. This is a long story. Speaking of symptoms that I have now, speaking of, the things
yeah, just the story. Like, how did this drug end up hurting you?
Now I have, I think, severe insomnia. I didn't know at all before I started using this antidepressant. I didn't know at all that what it is, what insomnia is, like that people cannot sleep or fall asleep for, hour and a half. Now I have, I think, a very severe insomnia. And before using antidepressants, I didn't know that, what insomnia is and how people can, cannot fall asleep for a long time. And it's repeating every day and for a long period. Now I have it every day. And since, I think 5 years ago, I already had this experience with, Lexapro or Cipralex. And since that, I didn't have, no single night that I was able to sleep the whole night with no waking ups and with, really fast falling asleep. But all my life before, like 33 years of my life before I touched this, I was falling asleep right away. I probably had like a couple, 2 or 3 episodes of like, it was much like more difficult for me to fall asleep when I had lots of stresses, when I had a burnout already for almost 2 years. And for me, it was shocking. I was like, oh my God, maybe I have insomnia. I cannot fall asleep for 40 minutes, for example. And the next day, everything was okay. So, it wasn't actually insomnia. And this is actually interesting also because at that time when I went to a doctor and when I told them like I have insomnia or something, they didn't even check what do I mean. Like, because for me, for example, these 2-3 episodes were like something shocking. But now I understand that it's like nothing compared to what I started having, with antidepressants. Like from the very beginning, from the first day, I started having insomnia and I couldn't fall asleep for like 2 hours. For me, it's impossible. And, it was happening and started happening every day. And, this kind of problems. Also, I have, increased body temperature. Also, I have increased body temperature, also every day. And it makes me feel tired. It makes me feel like I don't have enough energy. Sometimes I probably used to it already, but sometimes when it's higher than usual, I feel like feverish. So it's, I cannot like leave like I used to leave before and do what I used to do before.
Okay. So, I mean, it does sound like you had a catastrophic adverse reaction to the medication to be having insomnia so many years later. And then also this body temperature dysregulation. But how did this all start?
how did you even end up taking Lexapro in the first place?
Well, in 2015, I started my own business. I didn't have any experience in doing business, but I was really inspired. I wanted to create something interesting, beautiful.
What
it was
was the
offline
business?
It was beauty business. It was like nail art studio. And I was working hard. I didn't have day offs. I was like working for 13 hours per day in the studio, for example, with people, with employees. And then I was working at home. So I was pretty hard working. And also, I had lots of responsibilities at that period. And, it was, difficult for me, regarding to for example, I'm a bit, I think I'm more, introverted, and I needed to be kind of different person out there in the business, talking with people, telling them sometimes what to do. It's not like about me, about my character. So, I got burnout because I wasn't myself. I was working hard. I had lots of responsibilities, and I started feeling burnout. I didn't want to do it, but at the same time, my business was thriving. Like everything went good, and and that's why I keep pushing. I keep doing. I didn't have anyone to split the responsibility, to share the responsibility with, and I keep working, and I found myself in a very difficult situation when I didn't want to wake up in the morning, when I was crying sometimes, when I thought it was difficult to overcome, as I usually was overcoming something. And I think the interesting thing that there is some condition like depression, like burnout, probably, that you cannot overcome as easily as a bad mood. And that's why I started, and my, people around me, even my friends, they wanted to help me, but they didn't understand my condition. They were like, do this and do this, go out or, get loaded by work, and, you're gonna be better, or, do something. But they didn't understand that it's something different. And when you hear the, information from other people that, there is a depression, it is not, easy to overcome, you trust these people. You are oh, they understand something. And at the same, in the same time, these people telling you about, that you have to take, antidepressants. So it's two different things. And, because I trusted them about the first thing, because they understand me. They understand that my condition is more difficult than just bad mood. I trusted them in this part of the question, and then I trusted them about the antidepressants. So I think
it's so interesting what you bring up there, because I think what you've experienced, a lot of other people have. There's this kind of, you feel so understood, because you go somewhere and they say, this isn't just a sad mood. This is something that's so much more. You must be suffering greatly. And like you said, it's it might have been the first time that you've actually felt understood by anyone. Sometimes friends and family, they don't quite get it. But then they sort of introduce this other idea. And because you feel this way, maybe a medication is the right thing. And like you said, because you trust them, because they've validated how you're feeling, you're more open to saying, well, yeah, you understand me. It's likely that you know what you're talking about in terms of treatment.
Yeah, exactly. I was feeling like they know what they're talking about. So I have to trust them. And they were saying even if this depression is not endogenic, even if you got it because of some, circumstances in your life, if you experience this long enough, for example, more than a month or something, years, it definitely changes your, something in your brain. like your chemical balance, and you definitely have to take antidepressants, even though it's not endogenic. Like I found this information at that period.
Okay.
Also.
And so, did it work after you started taking it? Was it helpful for you?
No, it wasn't. Where to start this? Actually, I went to different doctors to understand what's going on with me and what they will like tell me and prescribe me. And they I just want to start with the a brief introduction how they diagnosed me, if it's like okay to start the story about taking antidepressants. And they just didn't check anything like hormonal level or anything. They just give you the sheet of paper with, Beck's scale of depression with like several questions, and that's it. Like, you can take antidepressants. And then I pick one doctor who I feel the more connection with. Like she was, smiling, she was really kind, and I started taking these antidepressants. And from the very beginning, from the second day, actually, I started having insomnia, even though before I had a very good sleep already. I had the depression, like burnout, come into depression for 3 years. I was trying to overcome it like by myself using the psychologists, but I couldn't. And then I decided to take antidepressants, because all the information were around me and, everybody was talking about this. Where were I? On the second day, you were saying
it caused insomnia. Yeah.
It caused insomnia, and before I didn't have an insomnia. I actually had I was feeling better during this third year of experiencing this, because I hired a manager, I started traveling a lot, I started, resting, and I was feeling better, and I think I would overcome it naturally, but I felt a little bit like, I cannot do that many tasks that I used to do before the depression, the burnout. So I have to like help myself with something. So I'm really, really sad about this decision, because probably I would overcome it pretty fast after that. But I decided to, everybody was telling like, you have to help yourself, you have to care about yourself with these drugs. Yeah, it's like a good thing to do. And the second day I started having insomnia, and I went to a doctor and I asked her, like, I was okay with this. I heard that first 2-3 weeks you have some, I forgot
maybe some
side effects.
Maybe some side effects. Yep.
Yeah. I was aware that first 2 weeks or 3 weeks you have some side effects, and you have to go to doctor, and the doctor will do something about it, like prescribe some additional drug or something to overcome this. And I wasn't scared. I came back to doctor. I told her that I'm experiencing insomnia, and she prescribed me some really light drugs for insomnia. Just sleeping pills or something. And I started falling asleep again really fast. Like I usually all my life I was falling asleep right away when I was just getting into a bed, and that's it. And it was happening for 2 weeks probably when these drugs were helping me. In this period, I decided to go abroad for a couple of months. At that period, I was traveling a lot. I could leave my business. And I went to Indonesia with my boyfriend at that time. And while I arrived there, in a couple of days, again, I started experiencing this insomnia. So this drug, these sleeping pills, stopped helping me with this. But I didn't have any connection with my doctor. And I was like, I had to take a decision, like, what am I doing now? Am I like continue to take this drug or should I stop it? But it didn't seem to me like a very bad thing that I started falling asleep for 2 hours during 2 hours. Comparing to previous my condition, that was bad. That was not okay. But I was like, maybe it's okay. I have to just continue taking it, and at some day it will get better. It will work. Maybe I have to just wait. And and I was taking it. And in a week probably after that, I noticed that I have increased body temperature. It is.
And so just to recap, just so I can make sure that I've got it, you weren't someone who started taking antidepressants lightly. It looks like you became burnt out or depressed or whatever you want to call it. You were seeing a therapist. You tried that for several years. It even started to get better. You tried taking some sleeping medications, but it still wasn't working well enough. And then it's kind of only after doing all of these things did you even start taking the Lexapro. That's what I'm hearing. Is that right?
I didn't take any sleeping medication before Lexapro because I didn't have sleeping problems like this.
I see. Okay, so you got on the Lexapro and then you were having the sleeping problems, and so you were taking sleeping pills. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on. Yeah.
And probably in 3-4 weeks after I started taking Lexapro or Cipralex, I noticed that I have increased body temperature. And what I did actually during the week, I was continuing feeling this increased body temperature, and I decided to go by my insurance to go in a hospital in Bali in Indonesia to check maybe some infection. I got some infection or something. But it wasn't the flu symptoms or cold-like symptoms. I didn't experience any of this, just increased body temperature, like feverish or something. I went to a hospital, they checked everything, they took my blood, and everything was okay. And I was like, maybe it's kind of a acclimatization or something. But I didn't have it before. I was in this place and I didn't have it before, but I was like, maybe this time I got it. And I just stopped thinking about this, stopped focusing about this, and I think I just got used to it. It wasn't such a problem for me, but insomnia was every single night, every night with no gaps, every night. It wasn't that kind of, sleeping problems that you have when you anxious. For example, I remember this couple of times when I was really loaded with stresses. I remember I was sleepy. I was already falling asleep as usual, but then the anxious thought was taking you out of your, sleeping process. And while I was taking antidepressant, it was just the condition that you cannot sleep. You're not sleepy. You have, this kind of a noise in your ears, and you're some electricity is going inside of your body, and you just cannot sleep. You just don't have any possibility to sleep. It's like your falling asleep process is broken. It's just it's not working. I don't know how to explain this, but it's weird. And it was happening every day. And then in 2 months, I spent there almost 2 months. And I went back to my country. I'm from Russia, and I came back to Russia. And I went to a doctor with these sleeping problems with insomnia, because I forgot already about increased body temperature. I stopped measuring it. I just, got used to it probably. But I never saw the normal numbers on the, on the scale. And I went to a doctor. I told her, I'm falling asleep for 2 hours. It's not okay for me. It's insomnia. And she was like, but you're sleeping after that. You're able to sleep at all. I'm like, yeah, I'm after that, I'm falling asleep, and I sleep okay, very deep, until the morning. And she was like, oh, probably it's okay. You have to continue taking it. You have to take for at least half a year, maybe longer. And I was like, okay, that's it. And I went back home, and I continued taking it for 6 months. And during the 7th month, I was tapering it, because I already heard about the information that you have to step by step, slowly, taper the drug, and I was tapering it, and that was the whole new story.
Okay, so tell us what happened after you began to come off the medication.
That was crazy. I didn't understand what was going on, but that was crazy. I stopped sleeping at all. Like, I wasn't able to sleep during all night. And then sometimes the other night, like sometimes it was 2 nights in a row that I wasn't able to fall asleep at all. And, nothing was happening in my life. Nothing was going on to, if some doctors, will gonna think that it's anxiety or something. Nothing was going on. It wasn't just, I didn't have an ability to fall asleep. I started running in the morning because I felt like I felt the urge to do something, something was happening with my body. My ear ringing, the tinnitus became really high, became really strong. And also I started feeling some weird sensations all over my body. It's fasciculations everywhere, all over my body. And also I started having some really, really weird feeling just in one leg. I didn't know what it is. It was like paresthesia with happening with my leg, and my left foot started to cramp. It was actually you could see it. It was visible. It was noticeable. So I went to a doctor again. I actually went to her with this crazy insomnia, which started. I didn't know what was going on with me. And with this, something weird, what was happening with my leg. And she started prescribing me a lot of, other drugs. She thought it is, crazy anxiety. And she started with some anti-anxiety pills, antihistamine pills, and I had.
And just for context, and how quickly were you tapering the Lexapro?
I think I was doing it during a month, like 3-4 weeks, and I don't know how exactly. Like, I was trying to cut the pill. Okay. Probably, I don't remember actually.
So, I mean, it sounds like you were on it for about 6 to 7 months, and then you came off over about a month's time.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
So go on. So you go and you see a doctor, and the doctor essentially says it seems like it's anxiety, right?
Yeah, it seems, for her, it seemed like an anxiety. And she gave me lots of drugs, lots of pills. And regarding to my weird sensations in my leg, we did actually lots of tests with this, and I paid for it. Like, I went to, not with my insurance, I went to the paid doctor. How can I say this? And I did lots of tests, and nothing, showed anything wrong. And she suggested that it is due to my running. She suggested that my sciatic nerve was pinched because of running. And she did some sciatic nerve blocks. So it's kind of injections in this nerve. It didn't seem to help, but the time was passing. So it was, I think, already 3 to 4 months after withdrawal. And I thought it's like, step by step was going away. Like, it wasn't that strong. And I believed her, actually. I was like, yeah, maybe she's right. And maybe it's just, something happened while I was running. So I totally, completely didn't connect it with antidepressants and withdrawal process at that moment. And it's important now to remember, because later on in this story it will arrive again, and it's going to be the point where I understood that it is definitely connected to antidepressants.
Okay. How long I think that's an interesting place to go to. When did you realize that what had happened to you wasn't actually, a sciatic nerve problem or a new anxiety disorder or some other medical condition? When did you get to the point where you realized that you were having a protracted withdrawal problem?
I think it happened last year. So it's been a lot of stuff that happened before I realized that it is connected. I was trying to solve this problem. I was reaching out for other doctors during this period. I was trying, they were prescribing me other antidepressants. They were saying, maybe the first course of antidepressants wasn't right for you. Maybe you have to take another antidepressants from the other group, or maybe you have to take the course with higher dosage. And I was trying to do this. Yeah, but I would like actually to tell all of this step by step, how I came to this point where I found,
of course,
the information. Is it
whatever way you'd like to share it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to mention that during this process, when I was having crazy, insomnia problems while I was withdrawing my Lexapro, and doctor were prescribing me some other meds, I started feeling restless leg syndrome. And it is actually crazy, but it is a good illustration how this field of medicine works, because it is so obvious. I didn't have restless leg syndrome all my life, 33 years. I didn't have it before antidepressants. I didn't have it during antidepressants. And then I withdraw antidepressants. I discontinue antidepressants. I was prescribed by some other additional drugs, and then it arrives, the restless leg syndrome, and doctor suggests that it is something that idiopathical. She said, she checked my ferritin levels, iron levels, and everything was okay. And she's like, oh, it's probably idiopathic. It's probably something that, just your disease. And it makes me mad.
For people who aren't familiar with the medical terminology, that means we don't know where it comes from. It's coming out of nowhere. And what are the chances, right, that you don't have it for your whole life, and right after you come off antidepressants, it develops, and then they try and make you feel like it's a coincidence. It's just a coincidence that this emerged.
But it makes me so mad, because it is so obvious. How cannot you put it together and just try to think it happened right now? It wasn't happening before. Maybe something, what we were doing, maybe something of this, affected this. And then she prescribed me, pramipixole. This is the other drug which affects dopaminergic system. I thought at that period that all the drugs, they are treating something. That's how I also was thinking about this drug, pramipixole, and I started taking it. And it actually relieved my symptom. It made this, ALS symptoms go away really fast, from the first pill, with the first pill. And I thought, this is helping. This is treating the disease or something that I was diagnosed with. But and I asked her for how long should I take this drug? And she was really weird about this. She was like, oh, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe forever, for all your life. I'm like, I didn't know why she was telling this. And then I took it for a month, and then I was trying to stop taking it, and I couldn't, because it was getting so bad. After one day, I wasn't taking this pill. And I went back to her, and she was like, probably I have to take it all your life. And I was taking it for 3 years, and I needed to increase the dosage because I don't know how this drug works, but what I know now, I was studying about this. I was listening to people who had these experiences. I was reading some papers, and you have to increase the dose. Like usually, you have to increase, and it stopped working at some point. And and during 3 years, I increased the dose till that point that I started feeling nausea. Like I you know, it was very bad. And I went to the other doctor, who told me, you have to stop as soon as possible. You have to stop this drug, and you have to sue this. You can sue this doctor, because it's not a really simple drug that can be prescribed like this. Like two different doctors, two different opinions, and I didn't sue that doctor, but I'm happy that I stopped taking this drug, even though I have now the consequences of taking this drug. I have every single night, I have this airless syndrome. But I'm glad that I stopped taking it, because otherwise it would be developed much, much more. And now I have hope that someday probably my dopaminergic system will heal. Maybe not. I don't know. That's the part of the story. And what I would like to share more, how I realized that it's all because of antidepressants. I didn't have this thought at that point. I didn't know what's going on, but I was trying to understand this. And this doctor told me that nothing was working. Actually, she was prescribing me anti-anxiety pills, and it wasn't working because it wasn't anxiety. And she was like, oh, you probably have to go and do a CBT psychotherapy in a medical center with a medical specialist. And I did everything she told me to do. She prescribed me all the drugs. I did it. She told me to go to do psychotherapy for half a year, CBT. I did it. Nothing was working. And then I changed the doctor. I went to the other doctor, to the other psychiatrist, and she suggested that maybe it's a wrong course of antidepressants. Maybe you have to take the other drug and increase the dosage. And I did it, but I couldn't tolerate it more than 5 days probably, because it was so bad. I started taking it with anti-anxiety pills, with something to to calm in the very beginning. And it was so bad. Like my tinnitus became, from the very first pill, it became so bad. I don't know, it was this almost the same when I was withdrawing the first antidepressant, but in 10 or 50 times more. All these symptoms, insomnia, crazy insomnia, from the very first night, I couldn't sleep at all. Tinnitus, all this, again, feeling came back in my body, but not in the leg. Weirdly. I don't know. And this might be a good time for me to talk a bit about protracted withdrawal, and then I'll have you pick up there. So to sort of piece this together, what's happened to Snezhana and what I see happening to a lot of people is, they'll get on the medications, and then they start to have side effects. It may even be that those side effects are already subtle signs of some toxicity. It's a neurotoxicity happening. For instance, the insomnia that was happening at the time. And then, for reasons that we don't understand, this can intensify when people come off the drugs. Now, this is not just something we see happening with
antidepressants. It's something that we see happening with antipsychotic medications. And the most well-known side effect there is something called tardive dyskinesia, which most people probably haven't heard the word before, but they've seen it in the Batman movies, because the Joker character is often displayed as having tardive dyskinesia. His mouth moves, his tongue sort of pops out of his mouth, and for those familiar with Batman, I mean, the Joker is in Arkham Asylum. It's a psychiatric hospital, and he's obviously loaded up with antipsychotics. And so they build this into his character, that he has this neurological side effects from the drugs that cause involuntary mouth movements. The interesting thing about this is that with tardive dyskinesia, what they usually notice is that people exposed to antipsychotics will develop very mild movements, movements around their mouth. And when they come off the medications, they intensify and they become a lot worse. It almost seems that there's something about withdrawal that worsens the neurotoxicity. And that's what I'm hearing in Snezhana's story, is that she's not doing well on the drugs, even though, respectively, I mean, 7 months isn't a long period of use. We talked to a lot of people who've been on these drugs for decades. She's having problems for the first 7 months. And then when she removes the drug, all hell breaks loose. We've got insomnia going on for days at a time. We have new onset restless leg syndrome. We have, she mentioned, paresthesias, which are abnormal sensations in her body. Essentially, it's looking like there's been some global neurological disruption. There's intense anxiety going on. And then one of the features of this type of neurological dysfunction that happens with these medications, it's almost like you've had a severe concussion. For some people, it's like a head injury. Your nervous system is raw and it's hypersensitive. And many people, after they've had this, they don't respond well to new medications. Even if they used to tolerate it in the past, now when they get exposed to it, it's a different nervous system. They're much more likely to have side effects, to feel worse from the drugs, and they're much less likely to be effective because the nervous system is completely imbalanced. And so when you hear what Snezhana is talking about, it's these side effects. It's the consequences of having a nervous system that was, disrupted in many ways. And so that's what I'm hearing when I hear this story. But Snezhana, please, you can comment on that, or you can continue with your story. Whatever you decide.
Yeah, I felt that it could be somehow connected, but the other part of me was like thinking. Doctors were trying to prove me, and I've heard it from, social media and from the other sources, that you have to just find the right doctor and you have to find the right drug. That's what we hear from others. Like, you have to just find the right drug. It could be the long process to find the right one. It could be different side effects, but you have to find the right one. And at some point I was thinking maybe I just didn't find the right one, even though it was the other group of antidepressants that I tried for the second time. Mm-hmm. But it's also was like about serotonergic system, like which affects serotonin, increased serotonin, but the other group. And after that, in some period of time, probably, I tried the other one. At all, I tried probably 5 different antidepressants, because I was, I heard this idea that you have to just find the right one, and the psychiatrists also were telling me that you just probably have to find the right one. And it were different antidepressants from different groups, but the same effects. That's when I already started thinking maybe it's not about finding the right one. Maybe it is just something like similar effect that I have. It's weird that I have similar effect from different antidepressants, and it's like completely unbearable. I couldn't like stand for a week at least. I couldn't. It wasn't possible. It was impossible. And the moment when I realized that it's for sure because of antidepressants, when I found actually the other doctor, that was the period when I was changing doctors because I was trying just to find, the right doctor and the right drug. And I found the doctor who actually wasn't so, many doctors, they're so kind of entitled. They were like, oh, you're just not doing the right thing. You just have to push through. You just have to take it more than, 5 days. But I was like, I can't. I cannot. And I found a doctor who actually, heard me, and she was like, oh, this is weird. I've never heard about this, but yeah, maybe let me check. Maybe it is possible that something's, off. But she prescribed me the other antidepressants. It's called Tritico. I'm not sure it's the same names. And she said it's kind of a very light, antidepressants, which helps, people to sleep. And it is very good for sleep. And, and I believed her. I was like, yeah, maybe this thing will help me. And I pushed myself through. I tried to take it for 2 weeks, because I was like, yeah, maybe 2 weeks.
Quickly, I just looked it up. That's trazodone. That trazodone is what we call it in the US, and I think, and in a lot of other countries. So, yeah, please go on.
Mm. Yeah, and I decided that I'm gonna, get through this. I will try to push. Even if I feel bad, I will try to push. Maybe in 2 weeks, it will somehow, change their, action. And I did for 2 weeks, but my symptoms were increasing. And I think at the end of the first week, I started feeling the same feelings in my leg, in my feet. It's like increased paresthesia. Like I was feeling it very, light version since the first withdrawal, like all the time. It didn't go away like completely, but here it was increasing again more and more every day, and until the 14th day, it increased a lot, like totally the same feeling. I wasn't running at that moment. I wasn't doing any physical thing that can, affect it. And I was like, it is definitely connected. It cannot be that it's not connected. It is it is the same feeling. It is increasing for the 14th day. And then I, stopped, taking these, antidepressants. And during, I think 2-3 weeks, it started decreasing. So it was definitely connected to antidepressants for sure. And that was the point where I was like, I have to trust myself. Like it cannot be anxiety. It cannot be anything that is about my, mental health or something that I, because all the doctors, they were telling, like, it is something that I'm not, thinking good enough about these drugs. Like I'm not trusting these drugs. That's why I have this kind of, reactions to that. This is my anxiety. Yeah. This is my stuff in my mind. That's why I have this. Yeah. And, after that, I started, I was like, I have this thought. It cannot be that I'm the only one with this. Like I am experiencing this. It is definitely not something that I, make up in my mind. It is definitely something connected to antidepressants. It cannot be that I am the only one. But at that point, I've never heard about same experience ever, like from everywhere. I didn't hear this. And I started looking for some information. And it's been, I think, 1.5 years ago, probably, when I was trying the last time antidepressants. And I started my research about this, and this is a new story.
What was the first thing that you found in your research that made the light bulb come on, and where you suddenly started to realize what had happened to you? What was the first thing that you found?
I think it's your video.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to understand the connection, like with my body temperature, increased body temperature. Actually, at that moment, I already went to a lot of doctors to understand why I have body temperature, increased body temperature, and everything was okay everywhere. I did a lot of tests. I went to infectionist. I did a scan, MRI, like everything was okay. And I started looking for articles. I think that was the first portions of information, like articles on PubMed, some other literature. And I didn't find anything or anyone with the same reaction to antidepressants. Like I started looking for information about serotonin syndrome, but in this research I found the information about mild serotonin syndrome or chronic serotonin syndrome. It is not the main serotonin syndrome, which is like when the body temperature over than 40 in Celsius, 40 degrees, like the very high, and the person has to get help in a couple of days because it's very serious. Like I've heard about this serotonin syndrome, but not like when your body temperature increased for a long period and, you just live with this. And then I started looking for some forums. I was like, there's supposed to be some community who share the information. And I started looking at in Russian, and I didn't find any. And then I decided to start looking in English, and I found the first one was on Reddit, PSSD community. And that was the point where I realized that it's like, I've never heard about PSSD, and I thought like, if that drugs can get this, side effect, why would we think that it couldn't, affect my body temperature, my sleep and other stuff for a long period after that? And then I found, your videos, linked in this, PSSD community on Reddit. That's how I realized that it is a serious thing. What happened to me.
I talk to multiple people a week about their stories, and I had a gentleman I spoke to recently, just a few days ago actually, who found out what had happened to him after 5 years in a similar vein. Just found some video that eventually linked to my video. And he had suffered so severely from antidepressant withdrawal. This was a father. He had some children. He had nearly taken his life several times. It had severely impacted his career. It had led to a lot of problems in his relationship where everyone thought he was depressed. His wife was very frustrated because he was no longer able to work and provide in a similar way. She had, was telling him that he was essentially that he was weak and he needed to snap out of it. And he was essentially by himself this entire time, suffering immensely, misdiagnosed. And then 5 years later, all of a sudden he realizes what's happened to him. And when I hear your story and when I think about his story, I wonder about how many people are out there right now who have had this kind of neurological insult from these drugs, who have no idea what's happened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of people. Like I was surprised that there are like thousands of people out there. And, but before I didn't know any. Like I thought that I'm alone in this experience, but there are many of them. Yeah. I wanted to say something also about this. You were speaking about like suicidal thoughts that people have about this, and I recalled that lately I was talking to my friend, to my old friend. We didn't see each other for a long time, and I told her my story. And the first question of her was like, didn't you think about, like, didn't you have suicidal thoughts? Because I'm at your place. If I would be at your place, I would think about, suicide or something, because it's like, when, like, my life changed, actually. I lost lots of like things, which were existing in my previous life. And, she asked this question.
What type of things did you lose because of what happened to you?
Like, first of all, the good sleep. I think this is like the major thing. It is very important, like, to have a good sleep and to be able to rest enough to, recover enough during the night, and then to have energy for the stuff that you want to do the next day and at all. Because of that, there are many different things. Because of the sleep problems, I, for example, cannot plan like the next day, or just I cannot plan as the way that I used to plan before, because I don't know, maybe I'm going to be so exhausted that I couldn't be able to do some stuff that I planned to do. Also, I cannot, for example, I cannot imagine that now I don't have a relationship, and I cannot imagine that I, for example, sleep in one bed with the other person, even in one room, because I have sleeping problems. Also, what else? I was thinking about this, like, I used to have these, things that helped me, actually, the good things in my life that helped me to overcome some bad situations, some bad moods, some depression and stuff, like good sleep, like ability to plan, ability to travel, because I used to travel a lot with my boyfriend and with friends, and single, alone. And I could fall asleep at any, circumstances, any Airbnb place, and then well rested, wake up the next day and go discover other places. Like, this is all stuff that bring you joy, that bring you energy, that bring you, some good vibes, good emotions to live your life. Also, I cannot have fun with friends. Speaking of, I cannot drink alcohol right now because I have strong reactions on it. Even one glass of Aperol, like I took on my birthday in February, I couldn't sleep. My sleep worsened for 2 weeks, and my condition worsened for 2 weeks after just one glass of alcohol. So I cannot just casually having fun with friends, and because I cannot drink alcohol, which I used to be. So it's fun. That also helps you usually to overcome some situations. It's good emotions and stuff. What else? Also, I cannot be relaxed about food, supplements and stuff that I take, because now I don't know what can influence, like what can affect me, because sometimes I have weird reactions at even some supplements, and I again spend 2 weeks, for example, again to balance my situation and my feeling. Also, I last summer I realized that I cannot visit sauna. I cannot stand a high temperature, like outside, because I also had a very bad reaction on it. I had my body temperature increased until higher than usual for also 2 or 3 weeks, and my sleep, it affected my sleep. I slept even worse than usual. Like, I cannot be relaxed. I cannot, be full of energy, and I cannot plan my life. So it's a lot. And now, like, I had depression, and I had all these instruments to overcome the depression. Then I took antidepressants. My depression didn't go away. Like, it didn't do anything with depression. It didn't do anything to depression. But I lost all these instruments, which helped me to overcome any bad mood or something. And at that point, I had to fight depression without any of these instruments that helped me. And then I also had to fight with consequences of this drug, with all these side effects. So it was bad. It's still bad. I'm still grieving about this. I'm still very angry. Sometimes when I have my worst nights, I'm like, I have to sue this doctor. Like, I have these thoughts because I'm so angry. I even asked a lawyer who specializes on these medical cases. And she told me that it's nearly impossible, to sue, especially in psychiatry, because you don't have any tests that can prove that you have something. Yeah. So
well, let's talk about, actually, what year did you come off the antidepressant?
I started taking it at the end of 2019. And I stopped at 2020.
Okay.
I came off at 2020.
So we're about 5 years into this injury now. Where are you at now with your symptoms? Maybe you could tell us where you are now and whether things have improved in any way and in what way they've improved, just to give us a sense of what the recovery is like for someone after something like this happens.
What can I say? It's very hard for me to talk about this, but I actually don't think I already have some hope for it to recover, because I thought maybe it's getting better, but then something was happening. Like I don't know, I took some supplement, I experienced some, I went to sauna, I got some, drink. I don't know, something was happening. And then I experienced again some bad symptoms. Right now, for example, I have this period when I again feel almost similar symptoms which I had on antidepressants, like this tinnitus, this paresthesia, the sleeping problems. I don't know why. I'm guessing. I had an experience 2 months ago that I took these antibiotics, which fluoroquinolone, which also can affect nervous system. I had to take it. I was trying to avoid it, and I had to take it because 3 antibiotics before didn't work. So I took it, and it helped. And I didn't feel anything bad, but now I feel something. Maybe it's just delayed affect or something. I don't know. Now I don't know what can affect me, and I don't feel that anything improving. Like there are waves, like everybody is talking about, and I don't notice that it's improving. I think it's even the opposite direction. I think as I feel, it's like getting more and more sensitive. I don't know why, but for me, it's like getting more and more sensitive. My nervous system, my reactions, I don't know what am I gonna react on the next time. So yeah. And also I'm getting older, and I think my a lot of people who get older, they have some problems with dopaminergic system. They have having this restless or something. And I think it could be not it could be worse. Probably. Okay. I don't know. But I still have a little bit of hope.
Okay. If I can, I'm going to change gears now, and I want to ask you some other questions, because we've talked to people all over the world. I've talked to people in India, I've talked to people in Thailand and Australia, and you're the first person that we've had on the channel who's gone through this in Russia. And I don't know a lot about the mental health system in Russia. I know in the United States, we love giving out psychiatric medications. We give them out in 20-minute consultations after people fill out checklists of symptoms. We commonly believe that anxiety and depression are brain problems, essentially to be fixed by chemicals. The media in the United States is very in line with that. They promote those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Are things similar in Russia? Are they different? I was hoping you could share a little bit about the mental health care system there that you've been through, and also you're a psychologist, and then so you'll be practicing there. What is mental health care like in Russia?
I think now it's getting pretty similar to what you said about United States. I think when I started taking antidepressants, it was somewhere in between. Like it was some people who was like, no, antidepressants, it's bad. You don't have to take it. Even psychologists is bad. I'm not a psycho. I won't go to psychologists and stuff. But the information started coming from everywhere in our country. Russian doctors, Russian influencers started talking about this, talking about chemical imbalance, talking about, that you have to care about yourself and you have to take pills, and it's modern and safe. And, if you're a progressive person, you just have to do it. And I am a progressive person. I think so. And I decided to do it. And now there are much more information about this. And I'm also so angry about this because everybody is just replicating the same pattern, the same information, the same words, like antidepressant, like, you have to take pills, antidepressant safe and modern, and, you have to take care about your mental health. So, yeah, I think it is a good thing that people value some difficulties, some mental health difficulties, but it is like going hand by hand with the information about that you have to treat it by drugs, by some antidepressants and other drugs.
I completely agree. I mean, in the US, we've got so many groups out there talking about the importance of mental health. Don't suffer in silence. It's okay to struggle with things like depression, reach out and get help. That's okay. I mean, that message is a fine message, but the problem is that the systems that are set up to help people with these problems seem to put people on medication so quickly. It's okay to raise awareness. It's okay to bring people in, but you have to have a system that actually helps people in a way that doesn't put them at risk of harm. Using non-drug approaches first. That dissuades, I think, only most people away from the medications. And I'm sorry to hear that things in Russia have gone in a similar way to the United States.
Yeah. And, I think, there are huge amount of people in Russia. There are like more than 100 million people in Russia, and probably a lot of them take, psychiatric drugs, and probably some of them for sure suffer from this stuff, but they cannot get information. Yeah, because also lots of Russians don't know English and they cannot reach the right information. Because I didn't find any in Russian. And, I wanted to say also that, since I'm in the psychology community now, I can also share a little how it is, in this community, how it works in this community. Like, there is the belief that if you work as a psychologist, you have to work in a couple with a psychiatrist. Like you have to tell your client if there is something you confused about, if there is something that you're confused about as a psychologist, for example, like your client experiencing like depressive symptoms more than 2 weeks, you have to send your client to a psychiatrist and work in this tandem, in this couple with a psychiatrist. And I feel like I feel bad when I'm in this group of psychologists, and I don't say anything in this situation, but I now don't think this way. I don't think you have to send your client all the time, like every time when you're confused, to send it to a psychiatrist and to make them to take drugs. I don't know how to figure it out. I don't know what is the correct way to do in the situation when you, like, for example, feel that your client cannot, overcome something, but I don't know how it's supposed to work. I guess we should figure it out.
You're put in an uncomfortable situation because you, I know the same thing happens with social workers and psychologists who fulfill the psychotherapy or therapist role in the US, and they're worried about malpractice. They're worried that if, someone is depressed and they say, well, I actually don't think seeing a psychiatrist is a good idea because you're probably going to get on medications, and I don't really believe that's the right thing for you. They start to worry about malpractice. Who am I to go against what the experts are saying, what the medical establishment is saying? And because of that, a lot of them feel pressure that anytime things get a little intense or someone has suicidal thoughts, we have to send them to the psychiatrist, who, almost quite frequently will suggest a psychiatric medication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is, such a trap, because I also have clients who already taken antidepressants, not because like I made them to doing it. They like already, for example, were taking it and then came to me, and they were trying, some of them, to discontinue the drug, to stop taking these drugs, and they experiencing some side effects, some of them. And they went to their psychiatrist, and they are asking about, can we do something about this? I started feeling like depressive symptoms, like insomnia or anything. And it is so ignored by doctors. Like, they all saying the same things, like, you're just too anxious about it. You're just, for example, I told this client shared the information with me, like she started experiencing some side effects when she started withdrawal. Withdrawing this antidepressants. And I told her that I know just a little bit, shared the information that maybe it's supposed to take longer period. And I shared the link to Mark Horowitz with, this hyperbolic tapering information. And she went to her doctor with this, and she's like, can you give me like more prescription for this drugs so I can taper slowly? And the doctor was like, it is just your thoughts. You're just thinking about this. You're just watching too much video, and that's why you're just causing the symptoms in you. It is a gaslighting. It is, like, seriously. Yeah. And the reaction is always like pretty similar. Doctor don't believe them, and doctor is gaslighting them. It's weird. It's crazy.
So, Snezhana, we're going to wrap up the interview now, but I want to give you an opportunity to share any thoughts you have about something that we haven't discussed, which you think is important, or just an important message for the people who are listening. What else would you like to share before we end?
I think I would like to say that you have to trust yourself. I think this is the important thing, because nobody knows you better than yourself. Nobody can know for you what you're experiencing. Nobody leave for you every morning, nobody leave for you every moment of your life. You know exactly what you're experiencing. You know exactly, you know, how you've fallen asleep, how you used to fall asleep all of your 33 years of your life or more. You feel yourself, you know yourself. And I think in this area where I'm speaking of psychiatry, where there is no tests, there is no proofs what's going on, we have to trust patients, and patients have trust themselves. And if you experience something and the doctor, for example, doesn't believe you and telling you an opposite things, I think it's just very important to trust yourself and to trust your gut and to try to help, try to find other help. Or maybe if you cannot find anyone who will help you in this situation, maybe just, you know, do something to help yourself. I don't know, to do the right thing, even though it's not aligned with what doctor said or something. Just, you know, keep looking for information, keep searching for information. If you feel something, if you know that you experience something, I think this is very important, to trust yourself and to keep looking for the answers.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you for inviting me, for having me.
If this story left you shaken, wait until you hear what happened to Rosie. She was prescribed Lexapro and suffered severe side effects. But instead of getting support, she was gaslit by doctors, and things escalated to the point where she was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital. Click here to watch her harrowing story.